Joining me now is the former Deputy Foreign Minister of Israel, former Ambassador to the United States, Danny Ayalon. Thank you very much indeed for being with us this morning. And let's talk first about Joe Biden, his visit, clearly to show support for Israel, to stand with Israel and their response to this hideous attack, but also some concern about the way it is done.
Well, first of all, there is a great understanding by Biden, the administration, the United States, and let me say also the allied NATO, major NATO countries, that the war here is not just between Israel and the Hamas. Actually, the entire Western civilization is at stake. And basically what we see here, the line in Gaza is really drawn in the sand between the diabolical teaching and doing of the jihadist movement, which has many tentacles, be it Al-Qaeda or ISIS or Hamas or Hezbollah, all masterminded by Iran, and aided and supported economically and politically by China, by Russia. And on the other hand, we have the free world. We have the Western democratic countries, which is an anathema to this global jihad, which would like to take us out. And if you look at the map, you know, Israel is a small country, but our position is the most strategical one, because we are like a cork that is stopping this global jihadist from gushing out of the Middle East towards Europe and then later on towards America. Israel is also very helpful to the moderate Sunni Arab regimes, whether it's in Saudi Arabia, in Egypt, and Abrahamic Accords, Emirates, against toppling them by Iranian forces, whether it's the Houthis in Yemen, Hezbollah we mentioned, Hamas we mentioned, the militia, the Shia militias in Iraq, Syria, they are in Libya, they are in Sudan, they are all over. Boko Haram in Africa, if you may. It's a global war. Yeah.
And just on the point of the global situation, what do you make of Iran's warning today about the resistance, as they say, taking preemptive action? What do you make of that?
Well, the Iranians really, as you mentioned, they are the perpetrators. Without them, the Middle East would have been much calmer, more stable, and more peaceful and prosperous. But Iran is not confronting us directly. They're using their proxies, and they're ready to fight until the last Palestinian, until the last Lebanese, until the last Iraqis or Syrian, and Yemen, and so on and so forth. So I think once this war is over with Hamas, and maybe with Hezbollah as well, there should be a reckoning in the international community how to proceed with this regime in Iran, which does not represent the people of Iran, but this is like a Nazi-like regime with global aspirations and destruction. It has to be reckoning for Iran.
Danny, we've only got a minute or two left. I just want to ask you about the Israeli response. Will it be in accordance with international law? And why are you still enforcing this blockade, given that the people have moved, as you asked, from north to southern Gaza? Why can't you lift that blockade and allow some aid in for the people who are really struggling there in southern Gaza?
Well, we will have to continue according to international law. This is pretty much what we are about. And international law today is dealing with nothing short than crime against humanity. And we have to just open the books of history and remember what the Allied forces, Britain, US and others, demanded from the Nazis: unconditional surrender. And this is
Danny, my point was just on the blockade. My point was just, I'm sorry to interrupt you, it's a time issue. My point was on the blockade. Why can't you lift that?
Well, what we are, it's not a matter of...
It's collective punishment. The UN is saying it's collective punishment of the people in southern Gaza.
So we say no. We say that the people of Gaza should evacuate and go to the vast expanses on the other side of Rafah, in the Sinai border in Egypt, where they should be hosted with shelter.
They're not being allowed. They're not being allowed to do that. They don't want to go. They don't want to go to another refugee camp in the Sinai Desert or whatever. They want to be safe in Gaza. That's where they live.
It's not that they don't want to go. They will return. It's the Hamas who's preventing them. And Egypt will have to accept them, just like Turkey accepted the 4 million refugees that were butchered by Assad. This is the way to do it. We evacuate our own people from the front line. We evacuate our own people to save their lives. This is what we expect for the people of Gaza. We want to spare their lives, and in order to do that, they have to leave.
Okay, well, that's a decision for Egypt to take. But Danny Ayalon, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.